Hello, and this is a strategic management analysis project on British Airways. The presentation will be covering the company background, target market and position, along with an external pestle analysis, major opportunities and threats for the company, and understanding Porter's 5-4 study tool to understand the market position. The company. British Airways was established in 1990 with its first flight flying from London to Paris. In 1956, the company was flying to over 10 destinations around the world. In 2006, they were named the best airline in the world by Business Insider. In 2011, they merged with Iberia Airlines, making them the third largest operators in Europe. And by 2017, they are currently the highest market brand share in the UK. The company does not have a set-in-stone mission statement, but do have a strong core brand value that they have stuck with over the years, which is to fly to serve. This also acts as a mission statement for them, as it very simply states what the business wants to achieve, which is what a good mission statement should do. Target market. British Airways have the mass market in mind with their company and offer something to suit all markets. A breakdown of this would be: economy is aimed at families and groups of people on low and limited budgets, and business and first class, which is mainly aimed at middle-aged working professionals on a higher income and more in need of the facilities. Pestle analysis. We will now be looking at an external pestle analysis which consists of the following factors: political, economical, social, technological, legal, and environmental. Political. High regulations. The Civil Aviation Authority has around 15 legislations that British Airways would need to follow and abide by in order to operate in the UK and globally. There are also 5 different forms of licenses and permits that have been introduced by the UK government that British Airways would also need to obtain. Economical. Fuel prices are continuously fluctuating. As seen from the graph below, the green line represents the fuel price changes in the EU. Fuel prices are a key element for British Airways. Due to instability of the oil prices in the global market, fuel prices have increased. This would then increase the outgoing cost for British Airways if they're spending more money on fuel, which would then be represented and reflect on ticket prices for consumers, as there would be a significant increase. Social. Competitive airline prices are an up-and-coming issue. Consumers can easily find cheaper alternative flights from sites such as Travel Supermarket and Booking.com, so British Airways have to stay ahead so they don't fall behind, as it is natural in consumer behaviour to look for cheaper alternatives. Technological. Mobile and online checking. This is an essential tool that has been introduced to the tourism industry. It provides efficient and effective transition management for staff and customers who can check in, get boarding cards, and pick seats all from the comfort of their phones and computers. Legal. Modern day security is a big risk and is a necessity for all business, especially airlines. This is not only the responsibility of the airport but also of the airline. Consumer-based lawsuits. Airlines are responsible for the safe transportations of their passengers. They are also liable for the hold luggage, in-flight health and safety, and also any major delays that occur. The way British Airways can avoid getting consumer-based lawsuits is by strategically managing and overlooking all these issues continuously. Environmental. Carbon footprint. Consumers are becoming more increasingly environmentally concerned. In 2016, British Airways suggested to the UK government that they turned £340 million worth of fuel waste into green fuel. Climate change. Bad weather conditions means there would be a lot of cancellation and delayed flights. This would result in getting fines for British Airways and also bad customer reviews. However, there is no way to avoid bad weather conditions, but British Airways can certainly manage the customer relationship when it does come to these kind of situations. We will now be looking at Porter's 5-4 study tool. This includes the following 5 factors. Competitive rivalry. Virgin Atlantic is a significant competitor for British Airways. They offer the same service, however, they are more expensive and therefore offer a medium risk. Ryanair are a very low cost flight. They offer less customer service, which is expected for how cheap, but some flights can be as low as £20, which is hard for British Airways to match, therefore making them a high risk to British Airways in the UK market. Supplier power. British Airways have to stay competitive as there are multiple suppliers offering the same services in the market. This would then make it a medium risk. Buyer power. There are multiple buyers in this market as the UK handled just under 240 million passengers according to Passport 2017. This then means that British Airways hold the buyer power and therefore prices can fluctuate according to that because there are multiple buyers. So the prices are determined by the business rather than being determined by the customers. So this makes it a low risk. Threat of substitution. British Airways, being the third largest airline in Europe now, has been operating also for over 90 years. This means that a new company to come in and substitute them is unlikely, but there is a slight chance due to the tough competition that is available in this market, therefore making this a medium. Threat of new entry. British Airways is an established brand, and the threat of a new entry would mean a company would have to build itself up to the name that British Airways has gained. However, a new threat is possible if there is a significant USP that airline is offering to customers, therefore making this a medium risk. Close competitor. Virgin Atlantic launched in 1990s. 49% of the stake was then sold to Singapore Airlines and 51% being held by the owner Richard Branson. First-class operations began in Heathrow in 2006, whereas British Airways has had their main headquarters based in British Airways from the beginning. Virgin Atlantic is more expensive than British Airways, significantly, and their target market is people on a higher base income. Virgin Atlantic's mission statement is to embrace the human spirit and let it fly. This doesn't entirely tell the consumers what their business is, if nobody was to know, but it's slightly similar to British Airways' core brand value. Major opportunities and threats. Opportunities. British Airways have dedicated themselves to spending a lot of money into Gatwick Airport, making them more functional and operational from there. They are also looking to start offering in-flight Wi-Fi to all consumers from economy to first class. This would be a major opportunity and would therefore allow British Airways to have more power in the UK market. Threats. Comparison websites are really affecting British Airways, and even though they are managing to stay on top of it and stay competitive with their prices, comparison websites mean that they could lose the little bit of business that they would get by another site or another provider being slightly cheaper. Low-cost airlines are also a very big threat for British Airways, as companies such as Ryanair and EasyJet are offering a lot more cheap alternative prices, and British Airways would have to stay competitive with them, and therefore having to drive down their ticket prices quite significantly than they would have done before. Thank you for watching.